Chapter 5, Part 2. Part 1, we mainly dealt with cell membrane structure and function. Part 2, we deal with energy and metabolism a little bit. Now, in Section 10, it discusses energy, and of course, all living things must take in and transport energy. Now, to understand energy, you have to understand the laws of thermodynamics. See, you have potential energy and you have kinetic energy. Potential is stored, kinetic is energy released. Now, energy is the ability to do work. So potential energy has the potential to do work, but isn't actually doing anything. It's potential. Now, the laws of thermodynamics in Section 10. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy itself is not created or destroyed, but it can be converted from one form to another. The second law of thermodynamics states that energy conversions are never 100% efficient. So anytime you're converting energy, some energy is lost in the conversion. It's not destroyed, but it's lost in the conversion, usually as heat. Heat is a random energy. So, for example, these lights, as they transfer or convert energy from electricity to light, you're losing some of it as heat. You're not getting 100% efficiency. So that's what you have with the second law of thermodynamics. So, of course, living things have to convert energy to live. So there is the production of heat, the loss of useful energy. That's known as entropy. Of course, energy is required for order. So in other words, all ordered systems, whether we're talking about cells, organisms, or the biosphere, must have a continuous supply of energy to maintain order. Without it, disorder or randomness takes place. If you quit eating, you die, for example. If the sun suddenly quits working, life will as well in a pretty short amount of time. Now, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. In Section 12, it discusses ATP. All work that is done by a cell that requires energy involves the use of the ATP molecule. That is the fuel for cells. Now, of course, we get this fuel ultimately from the calories in our food. We have to convert that energy to supply us with ATP. But when a cell needs the energy, that's what it's using. That is the fuel supply. Now, in order to use this energy, ATP has to be broken. Okay? Adenosine triphosphate, that third phosphate is broken off, and that energy from the breaking off of the third phosphate powers cellular functions. Now, of course, you can't ever run out of ATP, so cellular respiration, harvesting energy from food, rebuilds and replenishes the ATP supply. Another chapter will be dealing with that. Now, Sections 13 through 15 discuss enzymes. Enzymes are proteins that serve as biological catalysts. They speed up chemical reactions or allowing them to work at normal body conditions, normal body temperature. Now, they themselves are not consumed by the reactions. Now, what kind of reactions that enzymes help assist? Pretty much all of them. Pretty much every chemical reaction going on in our bodies requires enzymes to work. They're that important. In Section 14, it discusses enzyme function. See, an enzyme has a definite three-dimensional shape. The portion of the molecule, the protein, where it binds to what you're reacting is called the active site. So the protein will bind to the substrate. So if we're going to digest sucrose, table sugar, you have to have a digestive enzyme. So sucrose, table sugar, is the substrate. But the enzyme is called sucrase. Most enzymes end in the letters ASE, not all of them. So they actually bind at the enzyme's active site. Then it catalyzes the reaction, which is to digest or break the sugar. And then the enzyme is left over to do it again with another one. That's basically how enzymes work. Now in Section 15, it discusses enzyme inhibitors, which are molecules that can block enzyme activity by affecting the active site. Now going back to Section 14, enzymes require proper conditions. Anything that goes wrong in terms of conditions can alter protein shape and protein function. Remember in the other chapter, shape is everything. So if the pH is wrong, if the temperature is wrong, it may affect the shape of the protein and render it useless to catalyze reactions. This is a major reason why the conditions in the body have to be kept just right. The right temperature, the right pH, the right electrolyte balance. All of these things are necessary for enzymes to work. Enzymes also require cofactors and coenzymes. Now, these are other molecules that help enzymes work. Many of these are vitamins and minerals. Some coenzymes are vitamins. Some cofactors are mineral nutrients. So that concludes our review of Chapter 5.